Corps. Was that not? Let's give it up for the worship team. And I have to say that Spirit is in the house. Yes? How are you guys doing? Good to see all of you. And as we always do every Sunday, we do an affirmation. If you can stand, please do so. And let's say it like we mean it. I remember God's light overcomes darkness. I sing from my heart and repeat the sounding joy. I am free to experience divine love, joy, and peace. I share God's pure light in my words, attitude, and actions. I am energized by love's pure light. Amen. Woo! I don't know how I can make up for what we just got, but I'm certainly going to try. As always, I'd like to welcome those of you that are online. I want to wish you a great holiday. Hopefully you're having a great day as well. We have been doing a series over the last month with all the reverends in regards to a poem, which I'll share here in a minute. But today, I have a title of The Making of a Miracle Christmas. And each one of us has written these out of some personal dialogue and space of what the poem means to each of us. And it's a beautiful thing. Patrick actually brought us into that stream, and it's a grateful way that this man knows how to put sermons together, I must say. So this Christmas feels a little different, doesn't it? Maybe it's because the world feels a little heavier this year. There are things going on in the world that weigh on our hearts. There are families that are separated by conflict, grief, and distance. There's an uncertainty about the future, exhausting from the pace of life, and a quiet ache, I must say, that even the most beautiful carols can't quite soothe. For many of us, the season of peace on earth feels like a longing more than a reality. We hang the lights, we bake the cookies, we wrap all those gifts, and yet, beneath the sparkle, we carry the question, where is the peace that we are singing about? And yet, this is the very world in which Christ was born. A world full of division and fear, a world of empire and oppression. A world where ordinary people, Mary, Joseph, shepherds, traveled from afar, chose to say yes to love anyway. That's why Adina Danos' poem, There's a Making in a Miracle, feels so powerful right now. It reminds us that the magic of Christmas isn't passive. It's not something that just happens when the calendar turns to December. It's something we make through patience, planning, prayer, and persistence. The magic of Christmas, she writes, is crafted. It's baked, it's wrapped, and tied with a bow. It's planned, prepared, and it's prayed over. And if we look closely, that's exactly how the first Christmas unfolded. God didn't wave a wand to fix the world, folks. Instead, God invited human hands and hearts into the making of this miracle. In Galatians 4:4-5, it shares this, but when the fullness of time had come, God sent His Son, born of a woman, born under the law, so that we might receive adoption as children. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't that feel great? That fullness of time was not sudden, though. It was slow in the making. It was waiting and working and trusting. And just to remind you all, it still is. So when you think about the work beneath all of this wonder that we're talking about today, every miracle has a hidden side. The part no one ever sees. Behind every shining Christmas tree is a box of tangled lights. And let me tell you, every year when I close out, I wrap them nicely, coordinate them, and every year I bring them out, I'm like this. You know what I'm talking about. Also behind every joyful family dinner is someone who cooked, cleaned, and created space for connection. Behind every child's laughter is someone who planned and worried and worked to make it possible. The same was true, folks, on that first Christmas night. The shepherds didn't stumble upon glory by accident. They were working, tired, cold, and faithful in their everyday tasks. In Luke 2, 8 through 10, it shares this. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over the flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all people." They didn't earn this miracle, but they were ready for it because they were present in the work. They didn't have perfect faith, but they had faithful rhythm, and God met them where they were at. When you think of Mary's part in all of this, making of this miracle, there was Mary, the young, uncertain, but she was willing. In Luke 1:38 it tells us, "Here am I, the servant of the Lord, let it be with me according to your word." That yes required everything she had. Her plans, her comfort, her reputation. She didn't just receive a miracle, folks. She made one. She carried life within her, nurtured it, brought it into a weary world. Mary's miracle was not effortless. It came with labor, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It came with sleepless nights, long travel, and a manger instead of a home. Her story reminds us that God's miracles often grow quietly and slowly, sometimes painfully, inside just the ordinary. That's what love looks like, folks. It's not easy, but enduring. Not glamorous, but glorious. And then there was Magi, a wise traveler from the east who followed a distant star. Their journey wasn't quick or convenient. It took planning, endurance, and faith that light would lead them somewhere worth going. In Matthew 2, 1 through 2, it shares this. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who's been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and came to worship him." Their journey reminded us that faith doesn't remove the distance between us and the divine. It keeps us giving courage to keep walking it. Amen? Amen. They didn't wait for a sign. They didn't wait for a sign to explain everything. They followed the light that they had. Step by step, day by day, until the mystery started to unfold. For those of you taking notes, number 1 in your outline, a world in need of light. A world in need of light. Today, we too are walking by dim light at times, aren't we? Things don't seem so bright sometimes. The news reminds us daily of violence and suffering, the economy straining families. The noise of the world grows louder while kindness feels quieter. It would be easy to give into despair, wouldn't it? To believe that peace on earth is too far gone. But Isaiah's word still holds, folks, in Isaiah 9:2, that people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who live in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. That's what Christmas proclaims, folks. Even in deep darkness, light still shines. And you know what? And that light often begins with you and me. It begins in the small acts of compassion, in moments of forgiveness, in the hands that keep working and the hearts that keep hoping. The miracle isn't that darkness disappears. It's that light refuses to give up. Amen?
Amen.
Number 2 in your outline. The human hands of God's work. The human hands of God's work. The Christmas story has always been a partnership. Divine power joined with human participation. The angels bring the message, but the shepherds must respond. The star shines, but Magi must follow. The child is born, but Mary and Joseph, they must nurture him. And 1 Corinthians 3:9 reminds us, for we are God's co-workers and are God's fields and God's building. That's the mystery of Christmas. God doesn't work around us, folks. God works through us. Right. Every card written, every meal shared, every act of love given freely. These are modern days of acts of incarnation. Right. God's love still takes on flesh through us. And number 3 in your outline, the power of intentional love. The power of intentional love. The poem reminds us the magic of Christmas is intention. John 1:14 says this, and the world became flesh and lived among us. Folks, that was not an accident. It was the most intentional act of love in history. Amen? When we act in love, we echo that incarnation. When we choose grace over judgment, peace over pride, generosity over indifference, we participate in the same miracle that started in Bethlehem. Our world does not need more perfection this Christmas, folks. It needs presence. It needs people who believe that love can still make a difference. Talking about all of this, when that making that we're talking about feels heavy, sometimes making feels like too much. There are years when lights don't seem so bright. You been there? I have. When the loss is too fresh, or the loneliness too heavy. When the merry part of Christmas just feels out of reach. If that's where you are, I want you to hear the good news, church. God's miracle doesn't depend on your perfection. Amen?
Amen.
And I'm going to give you guys all a break because it is holiday break on education, kind of, sort of. If you choose to make this your homework, it just might be starting right now. The miracle depends on God's faithfulness and the willingness to keep saying yes, however small your yes may feel. As John 1:5 promises, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it.
Right.
Yes. Even the smallest light is enough for God to work with. Did you hear that? Even the smallest light is enough for God to work with. There's a miracle, folks, in this making. The poem ends with these words. The magic of Christmas isn't necessarily magic at all. It's planning, it's thoughtfulness, it's waiting, it's work, it's love. And yet, that in of itself is magic. Maybe that's what God's been calling us all along to do. The miracle and the making are not opposites, church. They are partners. Every act of love, every choice of peace, every bit of hope we build, all of it matters. The miracle of Christmas isn't that God came once long ago. It's that God keeps coming still. Through you, through me, through anyone to love when it's hard. So now, the season goes on, church. So maybe this Christmas, instead of asking, where is the miracle, we can ask, where am I making space for it? Because the world doesn't need another perfect Christmas. It doesn't need people willing to keep it does take people willing to keep the miracle alive. The miracle isn't something that happens to us. It happens through us. And that's the power of Christmas. That God still enters human hearts, still shines through human hands, and still turns human love into divine light. Amen.
Yeah.